Namato Ratanatayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening, everyone. So today is Monday, the 7th of September 2020. So this is Chan Sujan from Varapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, Scotland. Hi everyone. Hi David, Falada, Margaret, Manish, Yvonne, and everyone. Thank you everyone for joining this online Facebook Dhamma talk, ongoing talk, and we've been working out especially on the discourse of the Buddha, the first discourse of the Buddha, for over 2 months now. I hope you're all having a wonderful time, despite the weather isn't that great. So I hope some of you have enjoying walking around, and then I saw some of the pictures of our members traveling in Isle of Isle of Skye, a beautiful place that I always wanted to go, but I never managed to go visit yet. It's a beautiful place. It's like a magical place that I have heard. So today again I will be focusing on the same ongoing talk, that is the Samma Vayama, which means a right effort. And a right effort is the sixth factors of the Eightfold Noble Path, and which is one of the very important factors in the Eightfold Noble Path. And that defines the change, and that defines that a change based on our own effort to change it or not to change. When we look at ourselves, we have all the history of some mistakes and a failure in the past, and in the past something that we think is right and something that we think is beneficial and entertaining. We used that, and we have done that and failed after so many fails, and we never learned the lesson. Now Buddha's teachings here, effort, is that once we have known that something which is not right and which is not good and evil, that's causing us a trouble and causing us difficulties in our life, then we should stop it. Stop doing it and change towards something better, something positive, and that gives us a great benefit of our own self, comfort of our own mind and heart and body, and a living standard. And some of you are already experienced such things, that when you are with your partners or when you are at work, that doesn't give you satisfaction, that doesn't give you happiness, and always some troubles and negative things going on. And observing that, you may have experienced that this is not what I wanted, this is not what I think is right, and now as a result you have changed the way. So you have changed the way, or you have taken the different path, which makes you much happier and much comfortable in your life. So finding a new ways. In fact, when we look at ourselves, we're always finding a new ways in a way that to give us a happy life, and also new form of new ways to deal with our own lives. I'm pretty sure that we are not enlightened yet, but if you are, just let me know. Okay? Any of you who are enlightened, arhats, just let me know. Yeah? But I am not, and if you are, just let me know. But I believe that majority are not arhat yet. So it is obvious that we have a bad history. We have done something wrong, or we were engaged in something not good, and may have been in a difficult position. And if you have been following me and speaking this every night, may have heard my previous stories, that how I stole a bag of rice and sold it simply to buy a cigarette, and that's influenced by my friends. And the consequences was that I was beaten up. I was punished by my father, tying me on a pillar and not letting me eat anything. So I was starved, and my food was just below. I couldn't reach to the food, and that's the consequences of that. And similarly, there are plenty of stories that I come across, and even our members, like saying that, oh, I know that drink is not good, but I don't know how to get rid of. Oh, I know that the smoke is not good, but I don't know how to get rid of. Like that. We know, but we haven't understood properly, and as a result of that, we cannot abandon, we cannot overcome. But there is a beautiful story that I have come across last year, that is one of the gentlemen that I know, and I think I have told this story last 2 months ago as well, 2 or 3 months ago, I think, that he was addicted to smoke, and he couldn't stop smoking for such a long time, and he never thought that smoking was a trouble for his life. And gradually later he became sick, and he realized that his sickness was caused by the cigarette, and he immediately stopped. And he, I remember, told me that if he would have known the damage that cigarette does to his life, he would not have touched from the beginning, like that. So it's a transformation, it's a change that we make. And the right effort is the effort, or the energy that we have developed from inside us, is simply having understood the consequences of the actions that we have done and the result that we are receiving. So with that, doesn't matter in our life how many times that we failed, and doesn't matter how many times that we have done something which is unwholesome and bad. It's a matter of a recognition that these lessons I have learned. Now I shouldn't be repeating it again, and then I should be move on and not letting it come or invade my life anymore. It's called prevention. Preventing from influencing, or preventing from returning back to that same incidences. And obviously sometimes, despite how hard you try to prevent from going into that old path, and despite of the prevention, you're going into that same path due to your friends, your environment, and so and so, and the results may come. And in this case, it's like you're having or like a prevention is like keeping your health in a good condition, or being healthy. So you will go with healthy consciousness. But however, sometimes the cure needed to it, because you cannot prevent anymore. So cure is like abandoning from all the illnesses. And in that curing time, a curing process, you have to listen your coach, or you have to listen your doctor's instructions and precautions, and only then you will be able to cure your disease, or you can go back into the healthy life again. But if you don't listen it, then obviously you cannot get better, or you cannot abandon all those all the habits that has been causing a trouble, that has been causing you in a deep disappointment and a suffering. But I'm not saying that this possible within a one day. It takes time. It takes time, and it takes your dedication and determination, and most importantly, the effort that's really required to get this done. And this is what is the topic of the right effort, that one we have to think of it. It is up to our hands to make it, to change it. Yeah, it's not anyone's hand. It's you who gonna change it. It's you who are going to abandon those old habits that has been a big issue and causing this unhappy experiences and unhappy life. And once you have changed it, then you will experience the difference that, oh yes, this is. And now I feel much, much happier. And now I feel my life is so worth. Yeah? But again, sometimes because of the childhood memories and childhood tragic incidences and bullying, or those incidents can influence a long time, and it will take a very, very long process to be free from it. Sometimes we think that we are overcome from it, but sometimes these memories and these emotions will come and haunt us and causes a trouble to us. So in those cases, what we need to do is to put an effort rather than rejecting, accepting that this happened, and ability to change into, rather than causing a trouble and deep into our hearts and our minds, just accepting that and move on, that was a past. And that moving on to the new phase of our life, again based on our own effort, how we want to change it. Some people turn into the very nasty way, turn into the drugs, or turn into addictions, into different addictions. And some would turn into the positive way, which again obviously brings more happiness. Because according to what the teaching says, that happiness and suffering is entirely based on the way we behave, the way we react to. So it's up to us. We can choose our choice to make it or to break it. And the right effort that I was talking this couple of days, first was to prevent from happening any of these things. But again, sometimes it's already happened and the consequences is there, and now we need to abandon it. And in order to abandon it, obviously, we have to know its root cause. So that's why we have to accept the past. Do not reject it. We have to accept the past, that whatever we have done or whatever happened to us, that was a lesson. And now, the result that we are having now is the disappointment and the suffering and unhappiness. Now this needs to change. And this we can change it by abandoning those past memories that is haunting us or causing a trouble. And to do that, obviously, we need to be very mindful of the incidents or the experience that we are experiencing. So that's why it says we have to have a right understanding of the experience that we are experiencing now. That everything that we are experiencing now is the result of the past actions that we have done or that we come across with it. And everything what is going to be is basically based on what we are going to do now or what we are doing now. And in a very simple term that we can see, whatever we do in a few minutes earlier, that defines now. And then whatever we are doing now, that defines the next what's going to be. So on the basis of that, something that happened in the past, it's out of our hand, we cannot prevent. But the effect that had happened, still we are bearing it. And in this case, what we need to do is to abandon those memories, those incidents, by simply accepting and then just leaving it aside, abandoning it. It's overcoming it. So the technique of overcoming is basically the mindfulness. You need to be mindful of that's what's happening, and you will be able to overcome. Now here again, when we look at the Buddha's teachings, there was one time that after Buddha started to give talks, after the first discourse that the Buddha gave, for 9 months Buddha traveled so many villages and cities, and with that traveling, Buddha taught so many people, and within that there's so many people also become the Buddhist monks in his dispensation. And within that 9 months time, Buddha's instruction to all of them was that go and spread the teachings of the Buddha. Share the good things that you have learned for the good and benefit of many, and do not travel in the same direction. 2 persons do not travel in the same directions. With that, all the monks, those who became arahats or the noble ones and became the disciple of the Buddha, traveled vastly around in Indian continent. And after the 9 months of traveling around in different cities and countries of that time, suddenly all of them, 1,250 monks, had a same thought that, we haven't seen our Lord for so long, we better go and meet with him. And that was like a telecommunication. There wasn't any telephones like we have now. Everyone was in the jungles or in different cities and countries, but all they had was like a telepathy communication, and they all came to join with the Buddha. When all these monks came to join the Buddha at that day, Buddha taught very simple, but very profound teachings, or the summary of the Buddha's teachings was not to do any evils, do good things, and purify the mind. And here, not to do any bad things or evil things is basically, whatever we have done, it has a consequences that we have to be responsible for. And we can see it even now. That whatever the things that we have done in the past is giving us a fruit now. And so with that in mind, prevention is the first option that we have, not to do any evil things. And again, sometimes we cannot, but it's already done. And in that case is to abandoning those things, not letting go back into the same trap again, or not having to being into that circle again, and abandoning those old habits. And in order to do that, you have to have a lot of self-confidence. You have to have a lot of self-motivation. And the most importantly, have to have a right understanding. And right understanding alone is not enough. You have to put an enormous effort to stop having it, or abandoning, or overcoming it. Okay? And the very moment when we are able to overcome that, then the whole spectrum of our life will change. And there are again overcoming. Yesterday I mentioned the 5 hindrances as the main root cause that hinder our practice for the happiness. But here in a higher stage, there are 10 feathers that we have to come across. So we have to overcome. basically we have to abandon these 10 feathers to be supremely happy. And these 10 feathers are the main root cause that is causing us to come back into this world of samsara, death, and this old age and sickness and death, and coming back into this miserable world again and again, so-called samsara. Now we have to overcome these feathers, which starts off from the personality view, doubt, and believing that the rites and the rituals will liberate us, like that. So this is basically 3 first initial feathers that we have to come across in order to attain the first noblehood. So long we haven't attained this first noblehood, or we haven't abandoned the concept of this personality view and still have a doubt on the right and on the teachings, which is teaching us to be free, and abandoning the thought that rite and rituals liberates us, then we still have to come back. We still have to come back into the cycle of birth and death, so-called samsara, non-ending cycle of birth and death. And that basically is like we are going back into the circle again and again, into the old habit patterns. And now these old habit patterns can be changed. This changing pattern, again, based on your understanding and based on your effort to change. I remember one of my friends who is in Wolverhampton, and he had been coming to the temple for a long time and studying Buddhism for a long time, and he knows that certain habits that he is going through is not good, and he knows that meditation helps to change those habit patterns. And every time when I talk to him, he always say, "Oh, I need to meditate and I need to give up this drinking and old habit patterns." It's been almost 15 years. The same routine going back and again and again. And every time when he talks to me, he always say that, "Oh, I need to change. I need to change." And here, he knows it, but he hasn't got this stamina or this enthusiasm or this energy to change. And with that, unable to change, with that lack of effort, he is not able to change at all. Similarly, there are certainly many people thinking that rites and rituals liberates and brings happiness to them. But again, they are going back to that same routine again and again, the same rituals again and again. When I was a very young teenage, and at that time I was in a school, and I had to. We in Nepal we had a SLC, School Leaving Certificate, which is the standard examination that normally government issue the paper, the question papers, and then there will be a police guard with when the question paper comes. It comes with the police guard and this very strict examination. So at that time, somehow I was very diverted into different ways, and I was a little naughty, drinking and spending more time outside the house and not spending much time studying. And my mother was very concerned about it, that if I was doing in that way, then I would not get a good marks and a good success in my examination. So she sent me to see so-called possessed, the devata or the goddess possessed lady, and then I had to do all the rites and the rituals to perform, and then following again and again. So every week I had to go back and doing that rituals, hoping that it will ward off my all those bad behaviors. That time I believed so, but now I think that was not right action. It won't make me free at all. But anyway, end of the day, I got a good marks in a school leaving certificate and able to join the college. But again, college I didn't continue. I became a monk instead. And that's how, after becoming a monk, somehow, despite of knowing what is the Scotland, where is the Scotland, now I end up being here in Scotland, in a cold but warm environment. Okay? So this is again another night on the effort, the right effort. The second strata of this is the abandoning old habits and anything that is making us to feel bad or to feel unhappy. So it's all in our hand to change that into good. And it's up to us to make it or break it. I end here for tonight's reflection, and thank you everyone for listening, and may you all be well and happy. In a few moments time we will have a chanting and guided meditation. Invite you to join. Thank you and see you shortly.